Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the end. If you clicked on this video titled Outer Wilds, No Translator Tool Finale, I'm going to assume that you've either been with me through this whole series, or you're a seasoned Outer Wilds veteran looking to once again relive the game vicariously through someone else. If you fall in that latter camp, I'd suggest starting with the first video in this series. This playthrough is probably different from anything else you've seen before, given that my translator tool didn't work the whole time. So yeah, let's cut the bullshit, shall we? I don't need to tell you that this game is something special, and you should play it first so you don't spoil the experience, because you've already played it. You've probably already watched countless playthroughs on YouTube and Twitch as well. You get what makes this game special. I also don't need to tell you that the ending of this game is damn near perfect. So I think you'll agree that since my original mic audio got corrupted, playing my original footage and just recording a commentary track wouldn't do the ending justice. So instead, what I've decided to do is to play the ending over again in real time, talk about my first experience with the ending, and how my relationship with this game has evolved over time to really put things in perspective. On a completely unrelated note, I also received my copy of Outer Wilds Design Works from Lost in Cult a couple months ago, which is a compendium of interviews from the dev team and Outer Wilds community. You can probably see it in the background behind me, along with a really cool papercraft model ship and poster set that came with the deluxe edition. So selfishly, I also want to re-record the ending so I can gush over all the little details I learned reading those interviews. Anyway, no matter how you found this video, I want to thank you so much for being here, and I hope you'll join me for one last loop. Wake up. All right, here we go. One last loop. Shouldn't be too hard, right? All we gotta do is go over to Ash Twin, wait for the sand to drain, get into the Ash Twin project, grab the core, take that to Dark Bramble, avoid all the hungry fish, and then place the core into the vessel. Once we enter the coordinates, boom, we're off. Sounds easy enough, right? Anyway, if you're ever curious what a completed, in quotation marks, because we all know it's not quite true, ship log looks like if you play the game without a translator, well, here it is. As you can see, it's actually quite complete, especially this bit over here with the orbital probe cannon. Like, the entire structure's intact. There's some question marks and there's more to explore here, but yeah. The Ash Twin project, not too bad. Quantum stuff, I mean, that's to be expected that there wouldn't be much there. It's mostly reading text anyway to learn stuff from the Nomai, because the Arthians barely know about quantum stuff. And then, surprisingly, down by the vessel, we actually get a lot of things, mostly courtesy of the murals we find in the old settlement. But even stuff like the Nomai grave gets a name, the vessel gets a picture and the name of the vessel, which is huge, and the locations of all the escape pods. So all in all, it's not too bad. And then, of course, the interloper. You can figure out the core was ruptured, you know there's gravity cannons. That's about it. Spacesuit on so we don't forget. And time for blast off. And there's our first destination right on cue, the Hourglass Twins. Gonna go over to Ember Twin first and say hi to Chert. Take a little nap at his campfire so we can get this going a little bit quicker. Doubt anyone really wants to sit here and watch me literally watch sand drain for 6 minutes, so. Hello, Chert. I'm back for the last time. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that's all well and good, Chert, but I got a question for you. How do I know if I've spotted a supernova? Because you, my friend, are about to spot one for the last time. I wonder if some of these stars are older than we realize. I was kind of hoping I could tell Chert about the all the stars are dying, but I guess I didn't actually learn that information. Oh well. We'll let Chert just exist in peace for the rest of their short life. And doze off. Usually 6 minutes is plenty to actually get the towers unveiled, but I don't know, let's make this a little more stressful. Maybe I'll go for something like 10, maybe even 12. Yeah, I think 10 minutes is enough. I don't know how much time I'm going to waste just blabbing on about different stuff, so probably a good idea to give myself a little buffer. Anyway, off to Ash Twin. I remember the first time I played this, I was so nervous at this point because I realized that once I take the core out of Ash Twin, that's it. The loop ends. So if I die, I am just dead. I did know at that point that, you know, I could just re-pick up from where I left off. So it wasn't a big deal, but I was trying to put myself in the shoes of the hatchling and, you know, really feel the pressure of, you got one shot at this, better get it right out. Stupid fucking cactus, I was talking. Anyway. So the one nice thing about, you know, playing the game with the broken translator is it makes you use all your other tools way more than you otherwise would have. Like, most playthroughs I see, people, I mean, they use their signal scope to identify signals, obviously, but a lot of people don't even know you can zoom in with it. And I barely ever see people use the scout other than to look for ghost matter. But scout's actually really useful because it's basically a little version of you. You can see through it. It can interact with the environment. Sticks to things, which is nice. Use it as a waypoint. But one really interesting thing I found is if you put your scout on a teleporter, it teleports. So it's a pretty good way to... Whoops. So it's a pretty good way to figure out when to actually go into this teleporter pad. Any day now, Sand. Okay, here we go. It's coming. And here we go. Just gotta turn off the gravity. Access the core. Come on, little buddy. There we go. And grab it and we're off. So, one of the things about this game that it's subtle, but I absolutely love it, is just the sound design. So, you're in the Ashton Project, you get this triumphant music going. But as soon as you remove this warp core, dead silence. Really let it sink in, like how important this moment is. No triumphant music. We're not triumphant yet, so makes sense that it wouldn't be. Just prepare yourself, essentially. Oh, shit, I gotta recall the scout, or it won't let me teleport. And then to break that silence comes... How awesome is this track? It's just like the perfect hype music. Like, yeah, I got the core. I'm doing this shit. Let's fucking go. Real quick, where's Dark Bramble? There you are. Just gonna navigate around Brittle Hollow. So one of the fun things I learned about this track from reading the Outer Wilds design works from Lost in Cult is that Andrew Prelo originally wrote this track for something else completely different, at least the synth beats portion of it. And then someone, it might have been Alex, I can't really remember, said, okay, I love this track's great. It's a bit too intense for what we're going for here, but we'll find a place to use this later. And yeah, the end of the game was absolutely perfect for it. And originally it was just the synth part, and then someone suggested, hey, what if we layered end times on top of this? Because, it's the end of the game. This is your last loop. Makes sense. And that's how we got this absolute masterpiece just right at the end here. It's been a while since I played, so I'm fumbling the controls. Okay, down here, let's go ahead and mark the vessel. Which, how many of us either A, knew you could do that, or B, remembered you could do that on your first try with this? I didn't. I wound up... Oh, what the fuck were you doing there, buddy? Oh no. I fucked it up. Womp womp. No autopilot, don't crash into the other rock. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? As I was saying, on my first run, I completely forgot that I could mark stuff from my ship log, and I just went to the path. You go to the escape pod 3, follow the lights, get to the Red Sea, toss it in, blah, blah, blah. And as I was just about to say before I got eaten by the fish, ironic as this is that path is nice because then you don't have to worry about accidentally running in the fish between the entrance of Dark Bramble and the Red Sea. Go figure. Anyway, yeah. So another great touch is just the transition into Dark Bramble, and that really hype music just like fades into the background, just a bit of like a, not quite an echo, but a muted version of itself. which makes sense for Dark Bramble. It does that for all of the signals because of the way it bends space, and I guess sound is part of space. But also, it's like, if that music was bumping while you're trying to avoid the fish, it would be way too much. Oh, got it? Okay, we're good. Alright, fishies, you stay sleeping. So, one of the things I find most fascinating about this game is the non-linear way the gameplay unfolds. So, you got three main pieces of the mystery here. The orbital probe cannon, is where you get the eye coordinates, the Astron project, where you get the core, and then the vessel itself. And probably one of the greatest accomplishments of this game is that you can find them in literally any order, and it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't affect your understanding of the story, it doesn't affect your ability to get to the ending, just completely open-ended. And to do that in a game like this is honestly kind of crazy. Like, you find the probe tracking module first. Okay, no big deal. You see these coordinates for the Eye of the Universe, that's cool, but you don't really know why the Nomai were looking for it. Let's say you find the Astron project first. Despite that gigantic lore dump on the wall, you know what they were doing and why they were looking for the eye, but you still don't know where the eye is or how you would even get there if you did know it. And then if you find the vessel first, again, no big deal, because at this point, when you first find the vessel, you don't even realize it could take you anywhere. It looks dead. Warp core's broken, ship's in pieces, it's got dark bramble vines running through it, so what could you possibly do in that case? Just a really cool bit of gameplay detail that, Mobius was able to figure that out. And part of the way they did that is Alex originally, he made what's essentially an Outer Wilds text adventure that had, as a proof of concept before/while working on the game, just to get the story beats and the mechanics of the game down. So it was essentially like all the main beats were there. It was just like a simplified format. Like, okay, you launched off. Where do you want to go? The moon. You're orbiting the moon. You can see different structures. Where do you want to go? Lunar ruins. And it gives a brief description of the lunar ruins, etc., etc. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a cool way to storyboard it. And those little beats served as essentially what became the ship log, more or less, just with all the connecting lines and stuff, because you had to already figure that out. All right, we're in the vessel. The warp core is in. Gravity is restored. Thank God for that, right? All that's left is to go over here, pop in those coordinates, which, if you'll notice, bottom left corner of my screen, nothing there. Despite the fact that I did see the coordinates, you do have to actually translate that little bit of text that pops up in order to get it to display in the bottom left corner. But that's okay, because at this point I had these memorized by heart. If the little ball would cooperate. I remember the first time I played this, at this point, now that the music had kicked back, oh, come on. Anyway, the first time I played this, now that the music had kicked back in and things were feeling a bit intense before, doesn't help that the ball controls are a little wonky. My heart's racing, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get this right. I'm running out of time. I need to plug this in and see what the fuck is gonna happen when I do. Move the ball down. Nothing happened. Thankfully, another great bit of game design is the fact that this column or this pillar disappears to reveal this column automatically, intuitively makes you go, oh, shiny ball, I should flick this up. And then you do, and or transported. So, to everyone else, they're like, holy shit, I finally made it to the eye of the universe. And you, at this point, you should know what the eye is, more or less. You know how the Nomai feel about it. It's a pretty big moment. Now, compare that to my playthrough. I don't know what I was expecting. I plugged in some weird letters I found I knew it was whatever the Nomai were looking for, the Big Bang, the birthplace of the universe. Didn't know exactly what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. Because this isn't quite how I'd imagine, the remnants of the Big Bang. This is something else entirely. Clearly, it's what they were looking for because, as you can see in the lightning flashes, the bits of branching, whatever that is, it looks like the symbol for what I've been calling the Big Bang, the birthplace of the universe. It looks like that symbol. However, a bit different, there's what appears to be a planet in the center. So this couldn't have been the Big Bang. This can't be the birthplace of the universe. What is it? Now, everyone watching knows that, this isn't the Big Bang. But it's not exactly not the birthplace of the universe, is it? And then we watch as our sun goes. One last supernova. Goodbye, planets. Goodbye, Timberhearth. Goodbye to all our friends. It's done. Every single being that we ever knew in the universe is gone. Well, everyone except our friend Solanum, who's chilling somewhere on the quantum moon, but my character doesn't technically know that right now. See if I can get a glimpse when I get out there. So then, you move the ball over here and the previously useless thing suddenly generates a black hole. So what else are you going to do but jump into it? You know what? This is interesting. I'd never actually tried to shoot my scout through this black hole. Let's try it. And there it goes. Oh, that is so cool. Did you see how it loaded all the geometry once my scout went on it? Wow, I've never seen this before. That is fascinating. So I can actually get like a bird's eye view of the eye of the universe from here. Huh. I was kind of thinking it would do the thing where, connection with Scout is lost, but this is crazy. Looks kind of quaint from up here, doesn't it? Not nearly as intimidating as it will be in the next few minutes. Even, God, how many years has it been since I played this? I don't even know, but yet it still manages to blow my mind. See what the pictures look like. Yeah, that's the eye of the universe, all right. Oh, I think I see the quantum moon there too. Now the question, will I be able to reactivate this? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, here we are. And there's our friend Solanum, far away. But at least she's here. Well, 1/6 of her at least. And there's the vessel. This is a really cool moment the first time you look back and notice, oh crap, the vessel's there. Wow, that thing looks huge and awesome. So, okay, now I had places I wanted this to go, and now I'm just totally fixated on that cool thing I saw where I loaded the geometry in from the vessel. It looked like there was a completely separate path up, going south from this direction. That I was going to say, that doesn't look familiar. I don't remember the geometry looking like that, but that's because you'd have to get over this wall to get there. Which you actually can do if you're careful enough with your parkour. You can jump over this wall and get out of bounds. The rest of the surface of the Eye of the Universe looks like what we just saw from the vessel. It's kind of mostly empty with some more rock formations, but whatever. We'll go the standard route. So on my first playthrough, like I was saying, I didn't know what this thing was. It appeared to be some sort of planet when I was expecting remnants of the Big Bang. And once I got here, it became a little more clear what this place was because, the ground looks similar to the way it did when I saw it on the Quantum Moon. Even though I couldn't get to explore the sixth location, I did get to see the floor at least. And then when you look around, this whole thing seems to be covered in quantum rocks. So, what's the conclusion you draw from that? This place seems to be quantum. So, whatever the Nomai were looking for that had to do with the Big Bang, with the birthplace of the universe, it's somehow linked to all the quantum stuff we've been seeing throughout the solar system. Again, still not quite sure how those facts line up, but they do appear to line up. And then as you walk down to the South Pole, the lightning storm kicks up. Some just really cool visuals and those sounds of the... How unsettling is that? Outer Wilds is not a horror game, but it's also not a horror game. And this sequence is just chef's kiss. Like, if you didn't understand that everything here was quantum before, you definitely do now with the lightning flashes and trees going off. Not just any trees from Timberhearth, trees from Giant's Deep, trees from Brittle Hollow, trees from Ember Twin. All over the solar system there's bits and pieces represented. And then finally, you reach the South Pole. This swirling vortex going up into the sky. Now, for those that play the game normally, this is quite clearly why it's called the Eye of the Universe. That looks very much like an iris and pupil. Without it, this is a bit immature, but without that knowledge, it kind of just looks like a giant butthole in the sky, let's be real. So, you hop down this dome and, oh, that's weird, gravity got all funky. But there doesn't seem to be much down here, so I guess the only thing to do is walk up these walls and go stare into the butthole of the universe. I hate myself. Anyway. I'm making jokes, but this is really quite an intimidating sight. And, Mobius designed it that way. They wanted it to be completely foreign, like not just alien, but almost incomprehensible what you're looking at. Shoot my scout in for good luck. And this is part of it, that your connection with your scout is lost. It really evokes feelings that you are about to jump into the unknown. And another real cool detail is that your Hearthian jumps in feet first, and Mobius did lift this directly from Interstellar, the scene where Matthew McConaughey jumps into the black hole, but they wanted to show that your Hearthian going in feet first with their feet kicking like this, just to illustrate how small you are compared to this massive universal truth. Just a little Hearthian kicking his legs into the void. And then you get to this. I had no idea what to make of this, but if I had to think of a way to represent infinite possibility, not a bad way to do it. And then we're here, back to the museum. But it's not quite the beginning of the game. For a game that's about time loops, you could be mistaken for your immediate thought being, wait, what just happened? Is this like a Groundhog Day scenario squared, a loop within a loop, and I'm back to the beginning of the game? Not quite. Because if you step out, you come right back. Another mistake I see people make all the time is they read this first one. Okay, Outer Wilds Adventures, Feldspar, Goss, and Slate Hornfels, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I've seen this before. I read all these. And they don't take the time to read, to explore a solar system at the end of the universe and realize that all these signs are different, which is a shame because these signs are great and give real good context to, everything you've done in the game. This is your reward. This is your accomplishment. This is the time to not only reflect, but also bask in that achievement. The Nomai never got to see it for themselves, but thanks to their efforts in technology, a Hearthian was able to reach the eye of the universe. And yeah, that's pretty special that we carry on their legacy. Then the rest of the museum. Obviously, this one doesn't get completed because didn't do the DLC. That was the one of the few things I knew about the game going in was to avoid the radio tower and everything connected with it because DLC content. So understandable that that message is a bit underwhelming. What was a bit surprising is this over here. The Nomai who came to our solar system were following a signal from the eye of the universe. And this is, well, I guess in the last one, this is where we get confirmation that this is called the Eye of the Universe. It has a name, and it's what the Nomai were looking for the entire time. So what is the Eye of the Universe? Clearly some sort of quantum phenomenon. Don't know much more than that. They perished when the interloper arrived, bringing with it the deadly substance we called ghost matter that flooded the entire solar system almost instantly and without warning. So this is real cool that I still get this message. I wasn't sure, because I didn't read the actual text inside the middle of the interloper, whether this would come up or not. I honestly had forgotten. It's been so long. But it's really cool that it does because, again, even without translating text, you get to know exactly what happened to the Nomai and exactly what happened at the interloper. At the end of its lifespan, our sun collapsed under its own gravity and then exploded in a violent supernova. And then, of course, everyone's favorite. Of all the life forms who will perish in the oncoming death of the universe, we will miss the anglerfish the least. Hallelujah. Preach, son. Fuck them anglerfish. Am I right? That one made me chuckle. First time through. And then you come up top and everything looks normal at first until you look over to the middle and there's a representation of what appears to be our galaxy, perhaps even the entire universe. Mobius is on record that they wanted the ending to be a bit ambiguous, so they're not going to come out and just straight up say exactly what this is. In an interview, they called this a cluster of stars or a cluster of galaxies, so it could really be interpreted either way. But yeah, either way, the game wants you to observe it, which, again, going back from the no translator playthrough, this is a big clue as to what's going on here. Because we got to this place, we now know is called the Eye of the Universe, We know the nomai were looking for it. We know that it's somehow related to quantum objects, and now it's asking us to observe what looks like the universe. Why would it do that? Well, if we stop and think about it, what happens when we observe a quantum object? It gets locked into a single state. It's interesting. Why would we need to lock the universe into a single state if the universe is dying? Let's find out. And then everything zooms out, and we get to see what looks like at first stars going supernova, which coalesces into the entire galaxy, fades away. And then you're left with nothing. And then stars. But not quite stars. Because as you get closer and closer, you start seeing shadows. And hearing crickets. And as it resolves into this beautiful forest filled with light, what I see a lot of people refer to as the ancient glade. And then this music kicks in. This is one of the most beautiful sequences I've seen in any game, honestly. And it's at this point where, if you weren't already, this is the point where I got chills and started to get a bit emotional. Especially once the lights start winking out one by one on their own. I mean, the visuals are beautiful alone, but it's the music that's doing a lot of heavy lifting emotionally in this scene. And another fun fact is that Andrew actually composed this as the music for the observatory back on Timberhearth. And once again, someone chimed in, hey, this goes a little too hard. I love it, but we'll use it elsewhere. And this was the perfect place to use it. And then all the galaxies wink out one by one. We are left in a cold, desolate nothingness. Nothing here but a giant quantum tree. I actually missed this on my first playthrough. I don't know how, probably because my screen was a bit dark and I just didn't see it contrasting against the black. But I'm not the only one. I've seen lots of people not pick up, either not see this at all or not realize it's supposed to be a quantum tree. Which, yeah, fair enough. Easy mistake to make. Unidentified signal nearby. Could that possibly be? Oh, creepy breathing. I love the emotional roller coaster this takes you on, where it's just constantly yo-yoing between like creepy horror vibes to like really emotional nostalgia vibes, like going into the observatory, seeing the exhibits, making you reflect on everything you just did. And then back to unsettling as you zoom out and watch the whole universe die. Then back to touching emotional moment in the ancient glade. And then once again, back to I'm isolated, I'm alone. There's nothing around me but darkness. And now I hear this strange voice just breathing through my signal scope. And then when you get close enough, bam, someone appears. Who is that? Why, it's us. Oh, I wish I still had my scout. You can actually get at this point, take a selfie with both you and your clone in it. But yeah, let's not be strangers. Let's go say hello. Then a tree appears. This is another interesting, I don't want to say remnant, but remnant of idea of how Alex and Mobius originally thought of the ending. One of the early ideas was you were going to be gathering different components to build a campfire. And then when you light the campfire, the smoke gathers into that sphere. And you jump into the sphere, collapse the possibilities, Big Bang, new universe is born, etc. Which, bits and pieces that made it into the final design. And yeah, it probably would have been cool, but it wouldn't have been the just absolutely iconic ending that Outer Wilds has without the idea of all the quantumness and collecting your friends around the campfire. But this is just a little nod to that original idea. As the rocks in the tree, every quantum blink gets smaller and closer together, till eventually you get a campfire. Going to roast a marshmallow, but not quite yet. At this point in my first playthrough, I was just kind of along for the ride. Did roast a marshmallow. Got up, like, okay, now what? Then you look around and trees start appearing. Cool. Look around some more. There's a rocking chair. Huh. And look around one more time. It's our friend Esker. Do you hear music? It's a simple line, but it says everything. Immediately lets you know what you need to do. Goody, Rybeck's here too. But how do we get to that banjo? This building seems to be blocked off on all sides. I'll admit, my first go around, I was a bit stubborn. And I don't know why I wasn't thinking that this is quantum. Everything we had seen before let me know that everything here is quantum. We just turned around and all the trees disappeared. Maybe it's the fact that, like, if I do this and you look down bottom, nothing appears to have changed. It's not unless you look up and realize that, oh, this started to deteriorate. But then maybe you think, wait, was it already deteriorated? I didn't actually look up before. So you don't know. So I can see why it's a bit easy to get confused. And if I could have any complaints about the ending, which are very, very few, I think this might be the only one, is that getting stuck on some of these little puzzles right at the end can kind of kill the flow of how this ending goes. And that's perfect, but it's my one and only tiny nitpick. Gather. I love that choice of words here. Not collect, not take, not grab. It's gather. Which is fitting because, it's a double meaning. You are literally gathering the instrument. But you're also gathering a friend. So you can all gather around the campfire. Just the little touches like that would make this game just so special. Let's talk to Rybeck. It's not quite time yet. I'm pretty sure we'll need the others for this next part. We'll need, everyone. No rush, take your time. It might not even exist here. Aren't you forgetting someone? Oh. This line, especially coming from Esker, is poignant, because everyone always forgets Esker. But they don't forget. Now we get into this portion of the end where we gather our friends. This actually does impact who you get to talk to. Let's grab Chert first. Chert's little puzzle here is probably the most egregious example of what I just talked about. Because, okay, there's signals coming from over there. I just need to go run and grab it, right? But when you get too far, everything fades away. And then you back up, and everything comes back. Well, how the hell am I supposed to get over there? Again, this goes along with the theme of a lot of people not even knowing that you can zoom in with the signal scope. Despite the fact that there is a telescope right here telling you, kind of giving you a hint that's like, hey, you need to look a little closer. But if you never knew you could zoom in with your signal scope, well, it may not be till this point in the game where you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Looking at it and then realizing in the top right-hand corner it says, zoom in. Well, when you put it that way, thankfully, I had been using my signal scope so much already that was one of my first instincts was to zoom in on it, so I didn't get stuck on that for too long. Another thing I see people do in a lot of playthroughs, or I guess more accurately I should say people don't do, is talk to their friends after they gather them. Because they do have things to say, and it's some of the most poignant dialogue in the game. It makes my heart ache whenever I see people miss this kind of stuff, because it really is. Like, look at this. The stars were beautiful, weren't they? Even if our star is what ultimately killed us. I'll wait here and remember them while you gather everybody. And it says so much about the individual characters, too. Like Chert, you talk to Chert at whatever point in the loop, and chances are they are absolutely terrified of the impending supernova. But now that it's all gone, they can actually appreciate it. The stars were beautiful, weren't they? Even if our star is what ultimately killed us. Just beautiful. Okay, who's next? I'm thinking Feldspar. Yeah. This is another moment that's just absolutely great. One last jump scare to make you really shit your pants. It was a little underwhelming because I didn't have my flashlight on, but I jumped out of my seat the first time. I'm not the only one. And then as a little apology, they give you the nice little jellies here. So cute. Let's go talk to Feldspar. Hatchling, you found me. Nice to have company around a campfire, isn't it? Go on, go get the others. Wouldn't want them to miss out. Which is... oh, I'm not sure what the word is, but it's something coming from Feldspar, knowing they've been on their own for so long. And now that we're finally talking to them, their only request is for us to go get the others. So they won't be alone. I guess touching is a good way to put it. All right, well, Guess all that's left is Gabbro, right? But you didn't think I was really gonna let Solanum just go, did you? How could I? No, she needs to join us here. In this moment, sadly, I didn't get to experience it the first time. But on subsequent times, hearing this music for the first time, like, huh, that's new. I don't know anyone that plays the piano. And then just listening to how beautiful this little melody is. And then you get over here, see all these nomai pointing up, the big stump in the middle. I'll see if I can get this right. It's a bit tricky, but signal goes away. You look up. It's up there by a bright light. What do I do now? Ah, damn it, almost had it. If you stand in just the right place, not going to get it. I've seen someone else do it before. If you stand just the right place, you can actually stand on their heads, and each time you look away, a new one will appear, and it's almost as if the nomai are lifting you up as you've been standing on the shoulders of the nomai this entire journey, piggybacking off their technology and their knowledge to ultimately finish their goal, which is to find the eye of the universe. And I don't know, I forget which playthrough I saw it on, but when I saw that, I was like, wow, just the metaphor there is chef's kiss. But anyway, it's a shuttle. All I have to do is blast off towards our destination. I'm going to turn the signal scope off for this part because I love it. It's like the THX logo that I used to see on my Star Wars VHSs. I'm sure someone remembers what I'm talking about, but and then finally, gather the nomai. What could this be? None other than the best girl, Solanum. Hypothesis. Everyone must be here before we can begin. Once they arrive, I believe we'll be ready for the next step. I'm glad you remembered me. If you're not at least getting a little misty-eyed by this point, do you even have a heart? This is why on subsequent runs I always I leave Gabbro last, because if you do Solanum last, you don't get to talk to her and get that line, which absolute crime. So go get Gabbro. Gabbro's my favorite. Just such a bro. Love the laid-back attitude. Oh, what am I doing? Didn't even read the signs. The quiet shade. Cross old bark. In the ancient glade, it's always dark. This is really cute. Just to have Gabbro's hammock up here. Especially to tie it into the poem at Quantum Grove Crater back on Timber Hearth. Gabbro's quantum poem. So fitting for this ending. Forget which way's up or down. Okay, there we go. All right, here we are. All our friends are here. I'm going to talk to Salam first. A conscious observer has entered the eye. I wonder what happens now. Is it time to find out? Not yet. Then I will wait until you are ready to know the answer. Oh, I was thinking of the one that comes after this, but it's just music time. But who should start first? I think it's only fitting that Esker gets to lead the band, because everyone always forgets Esker, and they're just so eager to be back with everybody. I can't wait to play with the whole group again. Can I start? Go right ahead, Esker. Okay, I won't let you down. Are you back next? Should I begin? Yes. You got it. I'll do my best. Shall I begin? Well then, here I go. What do you say then? Should I get out the old harmonica? Yep. Haha, here goes nothing. Let's bring in Solanum. It is time to find out. This song is new to me, but I am honored to be a part of it. If you've never had the pleasure of being far flung from the solar system where you could bring out your signal scope and have all the signals align, then this moment, just hearing all the tracks and how they sync up is just gorgeous. And now let's get the hatchling in here. Can't actually play guitar, by the way. The only thing I know how to play is this little riff and this song from the intro, and yeah, if it wasn't for the magic of editing, it would sound like shit, so whatever. I'm an astronaut too. I should get to play an instrument. On that note, I think it's time for one last marshmallow. Looking tasty, huh? Perfectly golden brown. I don't know about you, but at this point I was already getting quite emotional on my first playthrough. Not quite crying yet, but on the verge of it. It's mostly just due to this, how beautiful this moment is. Now when I play through, I always leave Gabbro for last. 2 reasons. His flute normally gets a bit drowned out by the rest of the band, and it's Gabbro. They're bro. They don't mind if, they gotta wait a bit. What do you say, Time Buddy? Ready to start the music? Am I? Guess so. Heh, this should be cool. All things must come to an end, huh? But yeah, What the fuck is that thing? It's a big, glowing blue ball with, honestly, some freaky-ass images splashed across it. My first time through, not a single clue what to make of this. So my first instinct was to, talk to my buddies here, see if they could enlighten me, which they wouldn't. But I find it crazy how many people's first instinct is to look at this thing and be like, guess I'm jumping in. I mean, some people, if they still have their scout launch, will shoot the scout in first. But, yeah, another thing, my heart breaks when I see people just immediately go for it because they miss what might be some of the best dialogue in the game here. It's right at the end. Start with Rebek. I learned a lot by the end of everything. The past is past now, but that's okay. It's never really gone completely. The future is always built on the past, even if we won't get to see it. Such a true and beautiful statement, especially coming from Rebek, who is always afraid of everything. And now they're at peace. Still, it's time for something new now. So on my first playthrough, that was kind of a clue that clued me into what was actually going on here. So I had all the pieces together, right? I have the universe, quantum stuff, observing it to lock it into one thing. And then as you look up at this ball now, you realize it's suddenly flashing and changing, much like a quantum object would. Rebek there saying, it's time for something new now, is a bit of a hint towards what's going to happen. And I wouldn't piece this all together until the very end, but something new. Let's keep that in mind. Even if it's over now, I had a good time learning. But I think the rules are about to change. Esker's line breaks my heart. Wow, how long has it been since I got to make music with everyone around a campfire? I'm really happy we're all here. Getting harder and harder to fight back those tears, huh? You cut it a little close, don't you think? Well, it worked out all right in the end, I suppose. I hope there are beasties in the next one. How very feldspar of them. Yeah, bro? I'll tell you what, this has been really fun, and I gotta help make something pretty cool, so I've got no complaints. I mean, not me exactly, but close enough. It's our, version of Gabbro in our head. It's the kind of thing that makes you glad you stopped and smelled the pine trees along the way, you know? Perfect line. Especially coming from Gabbro, who it's their whole philosophy. Just relax, chill out, stop and smell the pine trees. And then finally we'll talk to Solanum, which I sadly did not get to do, but this really puts things into perspective. I believe we've reached the end of our journey. All that remains is to collapse the innumerable possibilities before us. Are you ready to learn what comes next? Say not yet. Because it's tempting to linger in this moment while every possibility still exists. But unless they are collapsed by an observer, they will never be more than possibilities. If you hadn't caught on by yet, that just lays it out that, yes, this represents infinite possibility. We need to collapse it and make it a reality. The next reality. Are you ready to learn what comes next? Yes. I admire your curiosity, friend. Let's find out together. Whew. Well, I guess this is it, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. Is the word I think I'll go with. It's been a ride. Here goes nothing. And there it is, the Big Bang. The end of one universe, the start of the next. This is the point where I broke down. Couldn't hold it in any longer. It just overwhelmed me. What a beautiful game. That ending is awesome in the most literal sense of the word. It fills you with a sense of awe. The first time I saw it and this beautiful music started rolling, I just sat here crying for a few minutes, just overwhelmed by a mix of emotion that I can't truly say I've ever experienced before. Feelings of loss, joy, melancholy, optimism, nostalgia, and so much more just washing over me. This wasn't just another game to me. It was a transformative experience. Something truly special. But this was the end of the journey. And endings are notoriously hard to get right. I'm not sure if there is such a thing as a perfect ending, but Outer Wilds might be the closest thing to a perfect ending I'll ever see. Every aspect of this ending was exactly what it needed to be. The atmosphere, the visuals, the music, writing, the symbolism, all 100 out of 100. No elaboration necessary, just a masterpiece in storytelling. And speaking of storytelling, how amazing is it that you can completely remove the most fundamental mechanic of this game, translating Nomai text, and the game still holds up. Granted, playing the game this way does lose a big part of what makes this game special. The story of the Nomai is just so emotionally impactful, and it's a testament to how great the writing is that the player manages to form relationships and see the personalities of so many characters that they never actually get to meet. Except for Solanum, she's the best. But even if you remove all of that, what you're left with is still a masterclass in environmental storytelling. Even without reading the Nomai text, it's still possible to not only complete the game, but also understand almost everything that is going on. And there's a very good reason for that. While reading Outer Wilds design works, I learned that Alex Beecham originally intended for there to be much less Nomai text in the game. The original intention for the game was much closer to how this playthrough went, with most of the story being presented through environmental details and context clues, to really put you in the shoes of someone exploring a solar system inhabited by a technologically advanced species that mysteriously disappeared long ago. However, watching this playthrough demonstrates exactly why more text needed to be added to the game. It's really hard to play the game like this. It's still possible, but it takes an extraordinary amount of curiosity, attention to detail, patience, experimentation, and probably most importantly, blind luck. Had the dev team stuck with Alex's original vision, Outer Wilds would go from being a niche game that's not for everyone to an extremely niche game that only a few very dedicated people would ever finish. I think they made the right call. Now that the game is finished, there are a couple of things I need to say. And if you stuck with me this long, I hope you'll stick with me a bit longer to hear me out. My translator tool wasn't actually broken. I played this on Xbox. I didn't even have access to config files that I could mess around with. And this wasn't my first time playing Outer Wilds. No, I'm the kind of Outer Wilds fan that was bored one day, trying to think of some way I could play this game again, and thought, I wonder if someone could actually beat the game without using the translator tool. Then I tried doing just that, and was so impressed that it was possible that I spent well over 100 hours filming, recording commentary, and editing this playthrough to show you how that might go down. If this makes you angry, I understand. You have every right to be. I genuinely feel really bad about lying to you, especially to all the kind people that have been leaving comments. It's been absolutely killing me to keep up the charade in my replies. I honestly didn't think anybody would end up watching this before I had the whole series posted, but here we are. But I did have good reasons for doing this. And no, it's not because I wanted to make myself look smart for internet points. If that were the case, I wouldn't be coming clean right now. The main reason I wanted to do this is to call attention to the amount of love and care that went into making this game, and the extraordinary attention to detail Mobius displayed when bringing this little solar system to life. I've seen far too many playthroughs where people just run from text wall to text wall, barely noticing or completely ignoring all the little details in environmental storytelling. Don't get me wrong, the Know My Text is one of my favorite parts about this game. But when you remove the ability to translate text, the game becomes something completely different. It makes you think much more critically about the how and why of everything, and arrive at conclusions yourself, instead of just being presented with all the info and letting the Nomai connect most of the dots for you. The second reason is that I wanted to contribute something back to the Outer Wilds community. By now, I've watched countless playthroughs of this game, and I'm always appreciative when people take the time to share that experience with us, so we can relive the game vicariously through them one more time. But after years of watching blind playthroughs, the ones I appreciate the most now are the ones where things are a bit unique. So that was my goal with this series, to put out a playthrough that I had never seen before, in the hopes that other people would also appreciate something a bit different. Side note, if you know any smart, observant, and most importantly patient streamers, YouTubers, or even just friends that you have that have yet to play Outer Wilds, please ask them to try playing the game this way. I would love to see a playthrough of someone doing this legit, especially now that I showed my work and I proved it's possible. Along those lines, I'll also be posting my actual, and I mean this, not joking, actual first-time blind playthrough of Echoes of the Eye here in the next few weeks. I played it the day it came out, and it was the first game I ever recorded, so I need to touch up the audio before I post it, but stick around if you'd like to see that as well. Spoiler alert, I also played the DLC without using the translator tool. That's just a little joke. Everyone plays Echoes without the translator tool. The Alcs weren't big on writing anyway. If you're still here, I'm going to assume you aren't completely pissed at me, so I'll answer a question that you might be thinking. Why did I have to lie? Couldn't I have just said up front that this was a speculative playthrough on what it might look like if I didn't use the translator tool? Short answer, yeah, I could have. That was actually the original plan. Then one day I was talking to a friend about that plan, and it led to a lengthy argument about how there's no way a no translator playthrough could actually work. That made me rethink my plan. And I thought it might help suspend that disbelief if I just role-played as a brand new player instead. Think about it. If I had been honest up front, it still would have been interesting. But there would have been a little voice in the back of your head questioning everything. Oh, that's bullshit that you noticed that. Nobody would actually make that connection. There's no way somebody would just stumble into that place or do that by accident, etc. Instead, you probably took everything at face value that what I showed on screen is what actually happened. Those nagging questions didn't get in the way of appreciating the subtle details and the environmental storytelling that Mobius laid out. So, while I certainly don't feel good about being deceptive, I also don't regret that decision. At least not yet. Feel free to voice your opinion in the comments, but please keep things civil. the Outer Wilds community has a reputation for two things: being zealously anti-spoiler and being an incredibly kind, supportive, and respectful community. I'd hate for this to tarnish the latter. But now that the veil is shattered, let's break the fourth wall and talk about some of the logistics of a Node Translator playthrough, like why I chose to omit some things and what connections I made that feel a bit shaky. Up top, I want to say that this playthrough wasn't a complete lie. The beginning of this series was a one-to-one recreation of my actual first blind playthrough, minus the no translator part. I did know about the time loop ahead of time. I did die twice in the village before making it to the observatory. And I really did think the whole point of the game was to launch successfully without dying, hence why I was hesitant to launch and chose to explore the geyser tunnels first instead. It wasn't until after I noticed early on the probe was launching in a different direction every time, and then I managed to catch up to it with my ship, that this series diverged from my original playthrough. I did my best to also recreate some moments from my original blind playthrough as well, like how I got to the Black Hole Forge and coming very close to hot-shotting the Sun Station. Doing the Feldspar maneuver into the Tower of Quantum Knowledge, however, was just a funny bit for this series. On my first go around, I got real lucky and saw the tower out by the white hole before I even knew it was a puzzle. That said, I did slingshot around the black hole to get around quite often back then, so the spirit was there. Moving on to the no translator playthrough, the biggest leap I feel I made was connecting the symbol for the Eye of the Universe with the Big Bang / birthplace / center of the universe. Maybe someone would make that connection, but it's a pretty big stretch. If anything, that symbol looks a lot more like a supernova, especially since it's blue. Despite that, I don't think it actually matters. The Eye of the Universe is just a MacGuffin. The important part is that the Nomai were looking for something they seem to hold in great reverence, and that is evident without using the translator. Not to mention, once you actually get to the Eye at the end of the game, there's enough context to get a decent picture of what the Eye really is. Some other things I thought were a bit of a stretch were figuring out the rule of quantum entanglement and destroying the fabric of space-time. However, those weren't crucial to beating the game and just put some lore into perspective. Plus, I feel like I manufactured plausible scenarios where someone could accidentally discover those things. The cave shard did actually surprise me when I went to record it. I did not know you could actually shoot your scout into different caves if the lights were off. That was pretty cool. If there's anything else you want to call BS on, again, feel free to put in the comments. I'd love to discuss it further. On the other end of the spectrum, the only thing I really omitted was going to the 6th location and finding Solanum. That just felt like a bridge too far without learning the rule of the 6th location. However, I do feel that if someone is observant and curious enough, it's entirely realistic to figure it out without the text clue. You would just need to notice that A, each planet, for lack of a better term, seems to have access to different sections of the moon, and B, it really seems like those environments are putting in a lot of effort to keep you from getting to the North Pole. After that, it's just a matter of being defiant enough to say, fuck you, Quantum Moon, you can't keep me out of the North Pole, and you could probably reach Solanum. Even better, if you do get to the 6th location, you would learn that the eye symbol corresponds to the Eye of the Universe because of the pickup text on the stone Solanum creates. I think that's the only major content I didn't include, other than small things like Hollow's Lantern and the Lakebed Cave, but if you can think of anything else, let me know in the comments. And I think that's about everything for this series. Sorry again for lying, I really do feel bad, but I hope you still got some enjoyment out of the series despite that. If you're looking for more Outer Wilds, stay tuned for my Echoes of the Eye playthrough coming soon. Hopefully I'll see you there, but that's it for now. Bye, everyone.